Hey friends, welcome to Gardening with Creekside. Today we are going to begin the planting here at the gardens, the terrace gardens. So excited about this. What we're going to be focusing on today is planting up the chicken coop steps. So these are those nice, big, huge natural stones that we are using as steps, and we are planting like low growing, steppable perennials. So everything we're going to do today are perennials. Perennials, of course, come back year after year, and some of these are going to be evergreen perennials, so yay for that. I've got Mimi here with me, I've got Emily, and of course I've got Brenna. Quick little update. We received at our house last night, which was Sunday night, about 9 o'clock or so. We got back power and internet, so praise the Lord. The production does not still have power. Unfortunately, that means that Mimi doesn't have power either, because Mimi and production, they are on the same line, which is separate from us. Fingers crossed, hopefully it will come back soon. We do have water at production because Jerry was able to get the well hooked up to the generator so we can water the plants. So right now things are looking up. That is why we are here today planting. Very excited to get these plants in the ground. As I told Mimi, I was like, I have got stashes of plants they've got to get in the ground. So let's just give you a quick little overview of what we're doing. You can see those two having a good time working really hard over here. Mimi and I have already started placing some plants. What we have placed so far are basically the Delosperma, the ice plants. I have got some perennial phlox, and then the campanulas. So we're going to just kind of go through, we'll talk about that in just a minute. I'm just going to give you a quick little overview of the plants that we're going to be using, and then we're going to get them everybody placed, and then once everybody's planted, we'll kind of come back and look more in depth at the plants. I've got a tray of the dwarf mondo grass. These are in what we call an 1801, meaning there's 18 plants in a tray. So I've got 18 of these little dwarf mondo grasses. These are great little evergreen steppable plants. They're going to go more in between the steps. So because these steps are really far apart from each other. B, out. She's going to mess up our placement. Come on, out you go. And so they're going to go, the mondo grass is going to go more in between. So that if we need to step on them, we can, and that's not a problem. Then we have got some creeping jenny. Beautiful color contrast, completely different habit. Obviously the mondo grass is like a little short mounding grass, whereas the creeping jenny, hence its name, creeps along and fills in. They're going to go kind of, they can still go in between the steps, and then also filling in some little corners around on the side. Depending on where you are, sometimes creeping jenny can be a little extra creepy. So if that's a problem in your area, you can use your judgment, because of course you're a student of your own garden. So there you go. And then we have got tons and tons of different types of ajuga. So the ajugas, most of these are part of the Feathered Friends series, and great sun or shade. Now these have been mostly in the shade, so you can see this little guy's getting a little wilty here. We'll give them some water, they'll be fine. But you have ajugas that have like huge leaves on them, right? Then you have like a medium leaf, and then you have some nice little smaller leaves to them. Different colors, you've got greens, we've got some dark green with a little bit of like a purple burgundy in there. And then I have a couple of the black scallop back there as well. The bigger ajugas will go more on the perimeters, whereas the nice short, tight, compact ones, they also can go in between the steps, and we're going to work our way up on that. And then I do have over here, we have got three, I grabbed these perennial geraniums because these are such great, beautiful perennials that have more of a kind of a, not a creeping, but like a spreading habit on them. This is Perfect Storm, and Perfect Storm has this gorgeous, deep, dark purple flower to it. This is going to be full sun to part shade, which is great here because we have a little bit of everything going on right here. I imagine maybe those perfect storms can go somewhere in this corner right here. Probably put all three of those together to get a nice big impact. So that's what we're doing when we're planting. We're putting not necessarily just one of something off by itself, but putting them together in groups. For example, like the creeping phlox here, this is emerald blue. So I've got 3 of them right here. The minimum spacing is 12 inches. I want them to really form a mat. Same thing with the ice plants down here. Mix them in and really have them come in together as a mat to have full coverage in this area. So that is what we're working on so far. We have behind Brenna and Emily, we have got some of the this is the Everest grass. Remember, we got those from our friends at Southern Living. These are going to be more shade to part shade and nice variegation color, that nice bright kind of that white up against this hinoki and this poor little azalea that needs a lot of love. So we're going to fill in evergreen carex, right? So we've got those. And then in my stash of plants, I remembered I have 3 everillos. Same part of that series. 2 of them look great. One's a little sad. She'll perk up. She'll be fine. They're going to go somewhere in this general area. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then these are probably not the exact final placement on anything really, but we've got agapanthus. I've always wanted to have agapanthus because to me that's just like an iconic southern perennial. Typically, we've always been a little bit too cold for agapanthus, and even this one, I'm going to be testing it as far as my limits because this is hardy in zones 8 to 11, so it definitely loves it warm. That's why we're going to put it here next to the woods, really, because they'll be a little bit more insulated and a little bit more protected. But this is that Ever Twilight from Southern Living, a beautiful part sun. It'll be basically like an 18 by tall and wide. And I mean, look at those flowers. Are they not absolutely stunning? And this is going to be a good size plant. Your foliage should be, as far as I know, like a semi-evergreen. So we should keep some color on that. And it was actually the winner of the Chelsea Flower Show in 2019. So nice, large, bicolor white and violet blooms, 24 to 30 inches tall on that. Gorgeous. It'll kind of remind you of an allium bloom. So if you're familiar with alliums, it has that kind of a look to it. So they're going to go up here because they have to be well draining. And as you can see, we're on quite of a slope right here. So we put it here on the slope and it will drain really well. They'll get the light that they need, but the sun sets right here so they won't get absolutely baked. So we're just being really kind of aware of our tree canopy and knowing where the sun shines at the certain parts of the day, and then we will get these babies in there all nice and snug in their home. So what we're going to do is we're just going to kind of set the camera up, have fun placing these. We're not going to plant anything until everything is placed, because you know how that goes. If you start planting before everything's placed, then you might want to move some stuff around. So we're going to get everybody placed. We'll get them in the ground. Yeah, so we'll just kind of play it by ear. We'll move you back here in just a little bit. My friends, it is 5 o'clock and we are done. We got all the plants in the ground. I could not be happier with how things look, and my vision came to life. Sometimes it's hard to convey what's in my head to the people who are around me so that they kind of understand the chaos that's in my head. But Mimi and Emily did an amazing job, and so we worked together as a team. I was joking with Emily. I was like, Emily, this is what we call 3-generational gardening here. This is team effort, my friend, with Brenna being the cheerleader. So let me give you a little perspective here of what we're doing. Sorry, that was a little bit shaky. So I have with me my fistful of tags because, you know, Jenny, sometimes the old memory does not work so well. But the idea, the goal, the vision that I had was that this whole slope in this area, basically, I don't want you to really be able to see any mulch. Clearly, this is a very steep area, and while when Hurricane Helene came through and we got all that rain, not one wash happened in here, which I am so impressed with. I mean, it held beautifully. So it's not really an erosion control thing, but it is. And so I want this to fill in. Again, we all deal with weeds, and the more plants you can put in a space, the more competition that you're going to give those weeds, and so it's a little bit easier to weed. Now, again, I fully understand that this is a massive project, and there are a ton of plants in here. We did certain ones that we bought, right, and then but all the ajuga has been at the nursery for like 2 or 3 years. It just hasn't sold, so I'm like, hey, it's fair game. So if you can find things in mass and you can get a discount when you buy them in bulk, that is, of course, is always a great deal. So what we're gonna do is just kind of walk through, and I'm gonna tell you what the plants are. We'll do it in sections as we go through. As far as the sun goes in this area, part of this is definitely considered, and the vast majority of this is considered full sun. The sun comes up over my left shoulder and it sets over my right shoulder. Especially in the summertime, certain parts of this just get intense hot afternoon sun. So that's where I put those plants that can handle that. And then some of these plants are going to be more shady, so we put that there. This is not, as far as I know as of right now, going to be on irrigation. Historically, we'll use drip in these type of situations. There is no drip in here. The only way that this may get irrigation is if Jerry decides with the grass here, we've got 3 or 4 long heads in there that'll rotate if he chooses, like this is one right here. If he decides to let's go ahead and have that rotate, you know, around. I don't know. But these plants really should not need it, because once they're established, they're nice and drought tolerant. That's why we love planting in the fall, because their roots get established over the winter. When the heat hits, they're doing great. Now here in this section, all right in here, this is all of the Delosperma, the ice plant from Proven Winners. And in this section we mixed 2. We did the pinks and the purples. So we have Orchid Flash is in here, and so is Pink Radiance. Kaleidoscope is a new series of Delospermas from Proven Winners. There's a total of 4 in the series. So instead of trying to be too matchy-matchy, too blocky-blocky, we just went ahead and mixed them all together. In fact, we actually took the tags out, so that way our brains wouldn't be wanting to be too matchy-matchy and balanced. So we took all the tags out, and then we planted them and we placed them. So not sure how that's all gonna go, but there you go. And then moving on up here, we do have some, you know, there's a little bit of that dwarf mondo grass is in here, various ajugas. So this is all of the ajuga is, like I told you, that Feathered Friends line, and so there's a lot of different ones in there. We just literally just stuck them in there. So there you go. Now the campanulas are new from Proven Winners also this year. So we have 2 little clumps. We have a clump here And then we have a clump here. Now in here, I believe there's also 4 in this series of the campanulas. And so what we did is, of course I didn't grab those 2 tags, but we have the white and we have the blue. These are going to be nice and short and dwarf, very, very compact and low growing. The ice plant only gets to be like 4 inches. The campanula can get to be like 6 to 8. So still nice and short there. So they're in little groups, again, mixed all in together. Then I went and found some creeping phlox. So we have 3 creeping phlox right here. These will spread out. Now we love the creeping phlox, right? Because they are one of the absolute earliest bloomers in the spring. So if you're driving down the road and you'll see this low carpet, super, super low, it's not gonna be any taller than that. It goes wide, doesn't go tall, of these gorgeous, sweet pastel colored flowers in early spring. That is a creeping phlox. It's great. Now, this variety, as most creeping phloxes are, I guess it would depend maybe on your zone, is going to be an evergreen. So this one that we have, let me get my tag. This is the Creeping Phlox Emerald Blue. A full sun, and it's going to be a nice, like, almost like a icy blue, like a little bit of a lavender, so that will pair really nicely. They probably won't be blooming the same time as the ice plant, but if they were, they would go together quite nicely. And then we have up here at the top of the little section, the 3 of the hardy geraniums. That's the perfect storm, right? Nice, deep, deep purple. Now, the geraniums will be blooming at the same time as our Delospermas. So those colors will go really nicely together, again, with the campanulas as well. So there you go. Then we have some creeping Jenny. Creeping Jenny's just tucked in everywhere. And I know that it spreads. That's the whole point, my friends. We want the ajuga and the creeping Jenny and the Mondo grass to spread and fill in. So that's the whole point of choosing these plants. And then the agapanthus, so we've got 2 on this side, and then we've got 3 across from them on the other side. And again, this is the Ever Twilight agapanthus from Southern Living. And these were rated as part sun. So these are gonna get a little bit of filtered sun all throughout the day, various parts of the day. They like well-draining soil, and they want to be, we planted them high. You might see some roots in there. They were very, very healthy plants, very vigorous root system in there. You can probably see a little bit. We want those guys to drain. All the ajugas back up in there, and I don't even know what varieties they are, y'all. I literally was just planting them and getting them in there. I gave Emily the Mondo grass and the creeping Jenny, and I was like, find a hole, put it in there. So that's what she did. And then kind of coming up here and looking at it from the very tippy top step of to the chicken coop. Here behind the Hinoki, we did 3 of the Everillo. So the Evercolor series, Carex, there's multiple varieties, cultivars in there. You know how much I love the Everillo. I mean, just gorgeous, bright, chartreuse, lovely, evergreen. Everything in here is going to be evergreen, like everything. The campanulas might be the only thing. I've never grown campanulas in the winter, so they might be the only thing that could be completely die back. But everything else, we're gonna have year-round interest with those. So even when you're leaving the chicken coop, you're gonna have a beautiful a view when you come down. So we have got, like I said, the Everillos right here, and then on the other side, to fill in from the front, we have the Everest. And so the Everest is still in that Evercolor series, still that Carex. It's just a completely different color. Nice dark green center, creamy white edge, and there you go. I actually had to go in the house for a minute, and I was washing my hands, and so I was looking at my kitchen sink, and y'all, I love how this fills that in right there, right? So you get a beautiful view, and if the Everillos do well back there, you'll be able to see them as well, especially that first one. She's a little sad right now. Someone may have forgotten to really kind of take care of her, AKA me. And so she's looking a little rough. She'll bounce back. But this is kind of the view from over here. And then we really just repeated all of those same plants. on the other side. I wanted the ones between the steps to be maybe a little bit on the shorter, low profile side. So that's where the mondo grass is in here. Such a cute little, I love this little dwarf mondo grass. The creeping Jenny, some of it was really, really long and leggy, and I cut it back. Y'all, if you've ever done creeping Jenny, you really can't kill the stuff. The black scallop ajuga, all the different colors of all the different ajugas, all the way up. And that's what Emily and, well, anybody that came over here, Mimi and we were all talking, we love the variety of the colors and the textures. So incredibly fun. So then to the far left, same plants repeated. So we had the same phlox, more of the ajuga. The only thing that's different is we still have the ice plant right here. So this is the ice plant, but it's the other two colors. It's the that's in the line. It's the Razzle Dazzle and, oh gosh, I left my tags up here. Let me go grab my tags. So it's Razzle Dazzle and Dancing Embers. So they're gonna be more like in the hot pink red family, but that's all right. We want just an explosion of color to have fun with this. Now, the area where Brenna is kind of sitting, we will have, she says, yes, I'm on camera. This is gonna be like a walking path. Not that it's gonna be a formal, really hardscaped walking path. We may have some flagstone left over somewhere, so I may come and just kind of sink them in. Very casual, very low profile, not hey, look at me kind of thing at all. But just when we need to come in to access this, I can back up a machine or whatever, stop right there, and then right where she is, have that as a little bit of a walking path. So I won't plant for about 2 to 3 feet right here. So from her tushy up will be a planting area, and from her nose forward will be a planting area. So that was a perfect spot for her to sit right there for me. And so we have lots of fun plants in here that are going to go in here, rather. We're going to do that whole assortment of, I've got all those great things from Southern Living, right? So we've got the Loropetalum, which actually is gonna go on Hydrangea Hill, but we've got like that touch of gold holly. I'm gonna put some of the Proven Winners Perfecto Mundos, like the double white azalea in here. I do wanna put some gardenias. Probably, it depends on where I put them, will be if I do the Steady As She Goes from Proven Winners, which is a little bit bigger, or the Pillow Talk, which is a little bit smaller. So just, we're gonna fill this in with shrubs and perennials. So the idea is, we'll come this way. The idea is that we want to bring in more evergreen, more year-round season of interest to this space, as opposed to when we had with the cottage garden, so much of it was just perennials. Now the cottage garden is not going to go away. It is absolutely staying. We're just going to rework it. So that is definitely staying. In fact, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be extending the cottage garden, if you want to say, you know, out. So this way it'll look just like it's extending and being a bit bigger. And so this bed will come all the way out to basically here on the wall. Now you can see when Helene came through that we have 3 little cuts right here. And this is just, y'all, we don't normally get hurricanes like Helene, and so that's really, really abnormal. You can see above it, there's nothing issue with the grass. There was no wash up here. It is just, we had such massive amounts of rain come through, and it drains. This is what it does. And so you can see we've got, I mean, that's a pretty representation of the layers that are in here. So obviously we're gonna fix this, but we've talked about how this is going to be from like here all the way down will be an annual bed full of probably a lot of like the same plants, so a lot of monoculture, whereas when we start to go here all the way down will be more of the cottage garden. And I think I am going to go for it, whether we're going to go officially as a monarch way station, but really to attract those butterflies and those pollinators with the zinnias and the parsley and the milkweed and all the things mixed in with those evergreen shrubs. So I am so super excited to get the steps done, because they're 100% done. Literally, y'all, when we planted it, now we did use our little spades. We used a lot of the Felco hand products, like the little hand tools, for 2 reasons. One, we haven't had power for 3 days, so I didn't have any batteries for my power planter auger, so there's that. And then 2 is that we do have some water lines in there, and I was trying to make as minimal of a mess as I possibly could so that we weren't gonna have a lot of red clay popping up. So we just went, and there was 3 of us, so we could do it. We could afford to have a little bit more, spend a little more time there. So that's why we did it kind of by hand. Now, you did see me with the grasses and the agapanthus. The battery was charged, and I was able to use the power planter. That was Jenny's 5-inch addition on that, which you really need because it had the heavy-duty tip, and that is gosh awful red clay. So that worked really well there. So that is all done. Feels great. I think my next area that I want to do is Hydrangea Hill. So tomorrow is a busy day of appointments and all the things, so I won't be able to do it tomorrow, but the next day I should be able to do that. So stay tuned for that because I'm super excited. I'm just ready to kind of button up this project and get these plants. And I told my mama, I was like, Mama, I've got so many plants in my stash, I've got to get them in the ground. I've got to stop collecting and put them in the ground. So that's my focus this week, is to put plants in the ground. So that is what we are doing. But I've got to get off of here because it is actually my daddy's birthday. So that, coupled with the fact that Mimi and Poppy do not have any power, they are coming to our house for hot showers and a hot meal for supper tonight. So I have to get a bath, prepare supper so we can have a little bit of a birthday celebration and celebrating the fact that we have power. So they're coming for supper, so we've got to get moving on that. But as always, we hope you found this fun, informative, and inspirational. As always, we so appreciate all of your love and support. Yeah, y'all have an amazing day. We'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.